Okay, I think the thing is recording without any countdown. All right, I wanted to go a little bit more tonight into the whole mess with Facebook. And I'm thinking about it from the perspective of it's an Android device. All right, you heard what I said yesterday regarding how can you expect any privacy on a digital platform for real? Okay, here's the thing. On Google, and let me put this differently, on an Android phone, Droid, that thing, there is no way that you could possibly prevent Google from having all your call and SMS data from that phone, because guess what? Google owns the operating system. They could have root level access to that thing. And I mean, they own the code, basically. The phone manufacturer certainly has it. Your carrier, your cell phone carrier, has all that data. Several companies are going to have that data, whether Facebook has it or not. That's one thing. That's Android. On iOS, it's Apple and your carrier. I mean, your cell phone carrier, service provider, and Apple. Because, again, Apple owns the operating system. I mean, they have access to that phone down to the most basic level. And your cell phone carrier has to carry all the traffic to begin with. It can't even function without them. So, again, at least two companies are going to have access to that data. So there is no using a smartphone and not having everything you do on it exposed. It just, there's no way around it. So Facebook, okay, they got caught once with some weird thing, which some customer of theirs did in a roundabout, like, I'm going to do this because I can, but I'm not going to tell, you what I'm really doing, kind of thing. And really, that's the only thing. I mean, people have been using every piece of information they can get to play with politics for years and centuries, for that matter. So I don't know. I don't see where you can have any expectation of privacy on any digital platform whatsoever. Now, if you went back to the old school telephone days, that was a different animal. The technology was so completely different that it was basically establishing a link all the way from you to the other end of that phone call. And okay, the call setup records were present, but the actual voice information, they had to really work at it to get that information. They could tell who you were calling and what time and how long, but they couldn't really listen in on the call without a lot of extra work and a court order. And it was a point-to-point connection, basically. Okay, it was established via a switch, but the information was all transmitted in analog, which took a lot more work to record. In the digital, that the voice information, especially if it's doing voice over IP, which most call traffic is nowadays, it's breaking up the audio in the phone call and putting it into data packets. And those data packets are just like any other digital file. They can be very accurately copied and numerous copies of that information made. And they can leave a copy on every server they pass through. You have no idea how many servers you could be passing through from one end of a call to another. You could be passing through 5 servers. You could be passing through 25 servers. You don't know. And you know what? Every packet is able to take a different route to the far end. If this route is busy, it goes to that route. That piece of the call goes here. That piece of the call goes there. That's why when something goes down in the middle, you might lose a little bit of your phone call, but you don't lose the whole call, which in the old circuit switch days, point-to-point analog, if the call dropped, you had to call them back and reestablish the phone call. You cannot expect privacy on these platforms. You can't. If you use them, you have to be thinking that what you're putting on them is going to be accessible to other people that you don't know about. You have to always, always, always think of such communications in that way. So, that being said, it's very convenient to have this stuff, but if you want to have a private conversation, you need to put the cell phone outside in the car because they can be listening to the microphone or watching the camera at any time because a lot of those apps have access to those. So you need to put the smartphone out in the car, all the smartphones, every one of them in the house. You need to pull the plug on the smart TV in the house because odds are going to have a camera and a microphone. You need to pull the power to every PC in the house. Privacy, maybe if you have a soundproof bathroom and no phone in there or no tablet or anything like that, no electronics. Maybe. Out in the woods where there's no signal. And oops, it's got storage on it. It can be recording and storing it and then dumping it later. As long as there's a battery in the thing. So, privacy, it's gone. Flown away, little bird. Gone. We've changed the technology too much. You can't expect privacy around electronic devices. You have to be in an electronic-free zone if you want privacy. And I have done telecommunications for 21 and a half years. I've been working with computers since the days of DOS in the mid-1990s. I know a lot about this stuff, not everything. I'm self-taught in a lot of regards and on-the-job taught in a lot of other regards, but I know an awful lot. I've been doing it for a long time, and I'm telling you, privacy is a thing of the past as long as you have active electronics with cameras and microphones, or send text over the internet. If you do any of those things, then you have to expect anything going across them to be accessible to the people that are providing the services and whoever else they decide to share it with for whatever reason. That is the world we live in, and you have to think of it that way. So, you want privacy? Hand them a note that says, burn this when you've read it. Don't know what else to tell you. Go out in the woods and leave the cell phones home. Yeah, there's no other way around it. And so, the good news side of all this, have you noticed how hard it is for the politicians and governments and people like that to keep things hidden? That's the flip side of this coin, because privacy is tough for us, and it's tough for them too. There's always a hot mic hiding somewhere. Have you heard that term? Yeah. So this is a double-edged sword for the watchers, because the watchers are watching themselves, and somebody's always watching anymore. And it's not just us. So we may be giving up privacy, but we're gaining a whole boatload of transparency. So think about it in those terms, because it's not a complete loss. In a lot of ways, we know things now that we would have never known 30 years ago, 20 years ago, 15 years ago. I mean, the technology has opened our world up to them, but it's also opened their world up to us now. So, yeah. Did Farcebook make a boo-boo? Yeah. Yeah, sure. But it's not the first. It's not going to be the last. So, welcome to the brave new world.